Hello, I'm Vikas Srivastava. We are with Cairn Oil and Gas, the Vedanta Group's oil and gas company. Deputy CEO is here as well as the CFO. We are going to talk to them about their existing production, the way they are planning to ramp up their production, as well as what are the challenges in the industry that they are facing. Welcome to NDTV Profit, Mr. Steve Moore.
Thank you.
So, just wanted to start with by asking you, what are the new technological developments or ramping up of production as far as concerned? What new technological developments are happening in this field and how you are planning to raise your production?
Okay. I mean, Cairn, as you know, works across exploration, development and production. So we're focusing on all those areas to underpin the growth. So in the exploration, we're moving into new areas such as the northeast. We're just about to kick off a major campaign across 4 blocks. We'll drill 9 or 10 wells in the northeast. We're also looking at new exploration areas on the east coast, close to our existing Rava assets, and also in deep water, and similarly on the east coast around the Cambay field and the DSF, the developed small field blocks that we've picked up in that area. Of course, we'll also be doing further exploration and a lot of appraisal work in Rajasthan, where we've had 38 discoveries over the last 10 or so years, and we're trying to fully quantify what's there. On the development side, a lot of the development will come out of that exploration work, but also from the discovered small field blocks, particularly the G4 block, which we're actively developing on the east coast, and the Ambay block on the west coast. We're also bringing into operation some of the fields that have been discovered over the last 10 years. Durga, which was a discovery from 2 years ago in the OALP rounds in Rajasthan, was commercialized yesterday. We just brought it on stream. And we've got a plan to go to a 2004 discovery called Shakti, which is a heavy oil field that needs thermal techniques this year as well. On the technology side, we continue to apply the technologies that I think Cairn is famed for, which is the polymer flood that we've started in Mangala, that we're expanding to all the fields. And then we're building on that to add to the polymer mix a surfactant. Surfactant is effectively something that washes the reservoir. It can get you very high recovery factors. The other technology that we're working to implement that hasn't been implemented so far in Rajasthan is taking carbon dioxide and putting that back into the reservoir and flooding the reservoirs with CO2. That gives also very high recoveries, but a lower cost, but it can only be used in our deeper fields. But it also is an opportunity to take the CO2 that we're currently venting, which is obviously not good for the environment, harness it, and it's a key part of our path to net zero, which we're trying to achieve by the end of the decade.
You all also wanted to reach India's almost 50% of total production capacity.
Yep.
You are at around 500 million barrels per day kind of thing, because some 2 years back that was the plan was.
Yep.
So what's the status on that and how soon we can expect that to happen?
It's obviously a hard process to ramp up production. So I think for our existing discoveries, we will make a big step in that direction and we will start to see production growing. But that will be backed up by the exploration successes that we're expecting in the northeast. So if I think we need to put a timeline together, if we're looking at getting to 200,000 barrels a day, we're looking at the 3 to 5 year horizon. Beyond that, I think that needs either a breakthrough in our deep gas potential. We have huge deep gas potential in Rajasthan. We're going to drill a well this year. If that is successful, that will trigger a further ramp up. And also if we can bring online rapidly some of the discoveries we expect to make in the northeast, that will be another stepping stone up to a target of 250 or 300,000, as we obviously aspire to achieve eventually.
Since all these activities that's been planned up right now, this would require massive investments also. So what's the kind of investments that you are looking at over the next 3 to 5 years and how you are planning to fund it?
For us, our vision, as Steve said, is to contribute to 50% of India's production. And one of the reasons is, we want India to be at least, 50% self-sufficient in its energy requirements. I think what we have done last 3-4 years is build a portfolio, right? From 3 producing blocks, now we have 62 blocks, right? Spread across the country, both onshore, offshore. Our acreage is in excess of, 60,000 square kilometer. So one part of the job we have already done is building the portfolio. Second is bringing right set of people. So last 1.5 year we have brought people from across the world having the specific skill sets. And the third part now is for us to start executing those projects. We have taken last few months we have gone back to the drawing board trying to work out the plans. And as Steve said, our focus now is in exploration, in development, and as well as infill wells for our producing fields right across whether it is in Northeast, whether it is in Cambay, whether it is in Rajasthan, or our offshore blocks. Now the most important part is on the amount of capex investment. This will require a substantial effort. We intend to spend say around $4 billion over next 3 to 4 years, and this is a number which we have spent in the past when we were building the Rajasthan facility as well as bringing that into production. That was our first step to reach to 25%, and that time annually we used to spend in excess of $1 billion, and we achieved that target. Now this is our second part of our journey where we are trying to replicate the same thing. The only advantage, as I said, now we have a big portfolio, 62 blocks, a large amount of activity, and the onus now is on the management team to start executing those projects.
Right. So as far as shale development is concerned, you all wanted to increase your shale production also. So given that crude is very volatile, almost around at times 75, at times 80, 82. So at this level, do you think that you all can take shale activity? What's the status right now on that?
So I think we obviously shale is a big opportunity not only for us but for India, right? And we have seen what has happened in US, right? The advantage Cairn has is as far as processing facility is concerned, whether for oil and gas, we have abundance in Rajasthan. We had built a large scale facility. So the advantage which we have is we don't have to build these facilities either to process or to transport. And that's why what we are focusing on is drilling wells, ensuring that whatever we have as shale resources, to look at the quantum and how do we put them into production. So and that will require a lot of it's not more about cost, it's more about technology. So how we are able to implement those technologies. We did some work last year, and this year in the next 6 months we are trying to do a couple of more wells, and that will give us a fillip to what more we need to do to make it commercial. So I think pricing $80, I think it will work for us.
What is the current production, as in what is the total number of wells that you all have drilled as of now, and how many more will be drilled?
See, we have, over the last, our total well count is in an excess of 800, 900 wells, across Rajasthan and our offshore asset, right? What we intend to do every year is try to drill at least 75, 80 wells. So that's the plan, and compared to past, obviously this is increasing, and this is required because we intend to now grow our production. And as I said, we now have the portfolio to drill so many more wells.
So out of $4 billion that you said, how much will go towards shale and new discoveries?
See, in the initial phase, it will be say for shale it will be say around 100 million because that's the initial phase. But more importantly, the investment will be on exploration as well as developing those exploration, and a part of it in doing more wells in our existing facility. And if shale is successful, this capex will ramp up. It will be furthermore. In our current production plan, we are not counting shale as of now.
Yeah, when we've quoted numbers, we're not really factoring in the shale because we haven't demonstrated its commerciality. If it does come off, as we hope it will, then we may have to drill 200, 300 wells. So that's $5-6 million a well. So it's a huge investment, but it's a big increase in the production as well. Because as Hitesh said, we have the facilities there, and we will be able to make use of those facilities and further expand the facilities.
What is the kind of reserve that you all have seen for shale in your fields?
Well, again, it's early days to quantify it, but if we take the area and we take the thickness where we think the shale exists, and we look at analogues from North America, then we have 3 basins. Each of those basins could contain 2 or 3 trillion cubic feet of gas that could be developed. But as I say, early days, we have to go and drill some more wells across the basins and understand the amount of organic matter in the shale and whether we can really frack it. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of expertise of fracking because we're fracking a lot of the other reservoirs. So we're taking technologies we've already brought into India. We're applying them just slightly deeper than our MBH, ABH developments that are already ongoing.
And given that government has come out with several OALP rounds, So, what is the kind of challenge that you see for players like you, upstream players like you, in the industry, and also what's the kind of outlook you portray for companies like you?
I mean, from the exploration side, I don't think we have any unique challenges in India. Exploration is challenging wherever you do it in the world. I think the Indian government has listened to the industry, is making a good portfolio of blocks. You can nominate blocks that you're interested in. So I think it's a very progressive licensing system that India has moved to on the exploration front.
And on the outlook front, how do you see the outlook for the industry as such?
I think it's excellent because, I mean, I've come to India, I'm relatively new, but it's a very exciting place to be because it still is relatively underexplored. There's a lot of basins with only a small number of wells. There's a lot of running room still in the basins which are proven. So the KG Basin on the east coast remains one of the world's great basins, and it's only partly been developed. So we talk about creaming curves. We're still well down the creaming curves on a lot of basins. Same with the Kutch Basin on the west coast. Number of wells drilled, a lot of discoveries, no developments to date. Relatively simple locations to develop. A little bit remote from the infrastructure, but the infrastructure will come. So I think it's got great potential, and obviously India needs hydrocarbon resources and will need them for many years to come. Obviously, we're committed as an oil and gas company to do that work, support India become self-sufficient or more self-sufficient, but also in a manner that takes cognizance of the environmental concerns of the world. So we have to work to make sure that we are not polluting the environment, but we have to really focus, I think, on gas. I mean, okay, India needs oil, but it needs gas more than it needs oil. I think the world needs more gas. And, I think you'll see Cairn over the next few years becoming less of an oil company, much more of a gas with oil company in our journey. Yeah.
Thank you very much, both the gentlemen, for talking to NDTV Profit. It was a pleasure talking to you.